Andrew Carnegie was a Scottish-American steel tycoon and one of the wealthiest businessmen of the 19th century. Andrew Carnegie was born on November 25, 1835 in Dunfermline, Scotland to William Carnegie and Margaret Morrison Carnegie. His father was a weaver and Carnegie grew up in a family who gave importance to book and learning. When Andrew was 13, he moved to the United States with his family in 1848. Due to his family's weak financial conditions, he ended up working in cotton factories, but he left his job and started focusing on reading, theatre and music. In 1853, Carnegie took up a job at the Pennsylvania Railroad. He worked there with Thomas A. Scott as a personal telegrapher and assistant. There, he started to understand the importance of iron and steel. The railroad business was the top-rated business in America in those days. During the Civil War, iron bridges were in high demand. Working with Scott was a learning milestone for Carnegie. He learned the basics of investment. In 1856, Theodore Woodruff approached Carnegie with an idea to create sleeping cars on the railways. He also gave him a small part of the Woodruff's sleeping car company. Carnegie accepted the offer and invested in his idea, and soon he became the first person to introduce the sleeping car in the US railways. In 1861, Carnegie invested in oil. The money that he got from his sleeping cars was spent on buying an oil company. This led Carnegie to expand his wealth. In 1865, he left his railroad job to focus on other interests. That year, he founded the Keystone Bridge Company. Carnegie began reaching out to make contacts and profits in the iron-making industry. He took every other project out there to build bridges. In mid-1870s, Carnegie opened his first steel plant in Pennsylvania. He purchased a rival steel company called the Homestead Steel Works. In 1892, he established the Carnegie Steel Company. To open the company, he used the money he had amassed over the years. His company worked to create many technological inventions in the production of steel. Carnegie achieved success and became the biggest manufacturer of pig iron, steel rails and coke in the world. In 1901, Carnegie sold his steel company to J.P. Morgan. Morgan created the US Steel Corporation and made Carnegie the richest man in the world. Carnegie began his charitable work in 1870. He supported multiple projects and causes. He is best known for his contribution to free public library buildings. He gifted libraries to the English-speaking world like the US, UK, Australia and New Zealand. Even though he was considered to be the richest man, his philosophy was to use little on himself and instead use his great wealth to promote the welfare and happiness of others. For these noble intentions, Carnegie was widely praised. Carnegie provided funds for the Carnegie Trust. In 1895, he established a university called the Carnegie Institute of Pittsburgh. He also donated money to build the Carnegie Institute of Technology at Pittsburgh in 1901. Besides the obvious infrastructure, the institute includes an art gallery, music hall, and a museum. To encourage research and development, he began the Carnegie Institution of Washington. In 1886, he published his well-known piece Triumphant Democracy. It was well accepted in the US. Then in 1889, he wrote The Gospel of Wealth, in which he describes the social differences between the wealthy class and the less fortunate in the society.